This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom Murphy now joins us, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette and Whole Hog Sports. Tom, again, Ryan Mallett's been the big issue the last couple of days, and you got a chance to cover him firsthand and talk with him. I know we could talk about his on-the-field prowess all day long, but is there anything maybe off the field, maybe a conversation that you guys had that stood out?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's a sad time. Ryan Mallett was such like a towering figure. I mean, figuratively at 6'7", but also just his personality, very, very outsized. My next door neighbor wound up in Omaha a few years ago. I think it was the year Arkansas made the finals against Oregon State, and Mallett was up there, and they were just out, in the bars and just having a good time. And Mallett, he was just a magnetic figure, like people were drawn to him. Very, very competitive. Some would say, even arrogant, so it's just cocky, maybe. Just very confident in what he did. And it turns out I had many interactions with him, including when he was going to play in the spring league. I got an email out of the blue by some guy that said, "Hey, you want to talk to Ryan Mallett? He's going to be in the spring league." So I talked to him then. One of the last times I saw him, he was out at a Razorback practice and had started a lawn mowing service and just handed me a card. So I don't know. He's a very colorful guy. I enjoyed covering Ryan Mallett. He certainly, and I like the anecdote you guys were saying about Tyler Wilson's comments about like kind of bridging the two administrations there. That was a big deal. And I wrote about this today. I just thought it was interesting how Arkansas went from this really run-heavy team, and I know there was some friction in the fan base about the end of the Houston Nutt era, but they were a bad team when it came to running. The way they ran the Wildcat and all that, or Wild Hog, and the way they tore up LSU in Houston Nutt's final game. And then, here you go 2 years later, and they're basically a fearsome passing team. One thing I think Ryan had to learn was how to put touches on passes, and Quinn Grovey spoke about that at the state broadcasters and sports writers induction ceremony yesterday, that Ryan had to learn, you got a big arm, and it's fun to show it off a lot, but there's times where you got to feather something over a linebacker or hit a back on a swing pass or something, and he had to learn to tone it down a little bit. But just a guy who he made Arkansas football in 29 and 2010 like a national household name because what a dude he was.
Yeah. I know it was an unfortunate way his NFL career ended with the Texans and some of those stories, but I don't think he gets enough credit for how he made it through 7 seasons. I mean, that's not easy to do. And we've seen great players at a variety of positions last half as long or less. I mean, a 7-year run, even though you're maybe not the starter, you didn't build a household name for yourself, that's quite an accomplishment in and of itself, Tom.
It really is. And I guess that position behind Tom Brady, only a couple of times. Matt Castle, got almost a full season on injury, and I think there was one other season where Brady got dinged up or something. And
didn't Garoppolo get some time? And I think that maybe he was the one other guy. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the 2 times that the backup to Brady over his however many years in the league got substantial playing time. It didn't happen during the Ryan Mallett years. I know he was disappointed he went in the 3rd round, but I thought that was a good franchise for him to go to, learn under Brady some. And then, he got some playing time with the Ravens and the Texans. And, his personality. I talked to Brandon Allen yesterday, and he referred to Brian as a polarizing guy. He was just such a fierce competitor. But, to get 7 years in the league and the way he did, and, he had a huge win with the Ravens over the Steelers when the Steelers were trying to get in the playoffs, and the Ravens had a sub-500 record, and he led them to a huge win, probably about one of the highlights of his pro career.
I mean, think you're talking about where he was drafted, and maybe he thought he should have went higher, but Belichick hand-selected him there, and Brady was like 33 at the time. I mean, Belichick chose him in the draft that early to be the replacement for Tom. He was the first one he thought could be the replacement for Tom Brady. No one knew Tom was going to play into his 40s, but I mean, that's what he was thought of coming out of Arkansas. He was thought well enough by maybe the greatest NFL coach of all time that, hey, this may just be the guy that can replace the greatest quarterback of all time.
Exactly. And you know what? The Patriots thought the guy just has a huge upside. Like, we might be finding kind of a diamond in the rough. I mean, I know he went into the league with the big, huge arm and all that, but I feel like I was reading back over Bill Belichick's remarks at the time, and it was like, this guy's just won everywhere he's been. He's just been a winner. And so even though he didn't get to apply that with the Patriots, he stayed in the league. He knew the game. To hear Bobby Petrino talking yesterday on radio in the state about his competitiveness and how often he was in Petrino's offense and how quickly they meshed and got on the same page, and he was such a leader in the locker room. Joe Adams, I exchanged some texts with him yesterday, and he was talking about how every time Mallett came through Little Rock, he wanted to get up with Joe and Jerry, as he called them, his guys, his boys, and go do something. And so, I don't know. Ryan Mallett had a very unique personality, and, I would like to have seen what his high school coaching career at age 35 could have led to. Could he have built Whitehall up into a power? Could he have moved into the college ranks at some point? Because that's been a path for coaches like Gus Malzahn in recent years.
Hey, just think about those kids in Whitehall and the ones he also coached in Mountain Home. We've talked more about his teammates and his family, but that very much was a part of his family as well. His mom, Miss Debbie, has lost not just her husband, but now her son in the last 2 years, which I know has been tough on her. We're talking with Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and Whole Hog Sports. Tom, before we jumped into the Ryan Mallett stuff, we were speaking to Duke and Arkansas. Duke Blue Devils coming to the Arkansas Razorbacks home floor in Bud Walton at the end of November. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere and an incredible game. What did you think about the SEC, the ACC, and ESPN electing to put that matchup together rather than Duke and Kentucky?
I tell you what, it's a heck of a pull. It's a statement as to what Arkansas basketball, when it's rolling, what it means to the national thought, and that is that, hey, you guys, you're basically on par with Duke at the time, at the present, and I think for Arkansas fans, that's as huge a home game. I mean, I remember Michigan coming several years ago and all that was pretty fun, but this is as good as it gets for Arkansas home basketball, outside of Kentucky coming in, and so I'm sure Duke fans are like, okay, whatever, we're going to play a hot team right now, but for Arkansas, this is a big deal, and they're going to have a heck of a schedule. When you think of the Battle of Atlantis games they could wind up playing, and Duke, I mean, their strength of schedule is going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, Tom, I'm looking for 4 tickets. If you got any extra, let me know. So.
Yeah.
Lower level, anywhere between the baselines will be fine, So just
behind the Arkansas bench.
Just let me know. I'm willing to pay face value. So just let me know when you get them. So
that's going to be happening, y'all. That's going to be super fun, and maybe they can avenge it won't be avenging, but to beat them after the Elite Eight game a couple years ago would be cool.
Yeah, there's a player or two that was from that roster as well that's still on the team, so it'd be fun. Tom, we appreciate it, man. Enjoyed it. We'll talk next Thursday since we're off next Tuesday for 4th of July.
All right, sounds good. See y'all.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.